So I will try to follow the comments as much as possible, and when someone asks something, I will just jump in and
Okay.
say, "Hey, we have a question." Okay, we are live, but we will start talking in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me shift. Oh my God. I just heard my voice. Are you diving lately? Like I saw that you're diving in the river or on the lake.
Yeah, no, we discovered a lake about an hour from where we live that has 30 meters depth. It's an old quarry, and they have sunken things in it, like a sub, a bus, an airplane, pine trees are falling into it. So it's pretty cool. And they have these aerators that mix the water, so there's no thermocline. The only problem is it's dark. It's very dark.
Yeah, funky quarry with airplanes and everything inside.
Yeah.
Sounds like what was it? Area 51 or?
Yeah, Area 51.
Sounds like this.
Well, we can go down to 30 meters.
Yeah.
And it's dark, so it's going to take me a while to get to 30 meters, but I'm working on it. I got to 15 the other day, and I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I don't feel so comfortable with the darkness.
No, but it's a place to dive without we don't need a boat. I mean, to dive off North Carolina, it takes a whole day. Like you gotta get on a boat. You gotta be on the boat for 2 or 3 hours to get to depth enough to get to maybe to 30 meters. And then you're there, and then you dive, and then you have to come back 2 or 3 hour boat ride, just a whole day. You have to have a boat.
Just jump on your private jet and come here. I give you 30-meter visibility, blue waters for the weekend. It's easy.
That would be nice. I'd be very glad.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, but I mean, I definitely like getting back to water. It's like like you find your love again. It's such a nice feeling.
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm in my own medium. Like I enjoy every second of it.
I'm really missing it. I mean, the day that we had when we got in the water the other day, I mean, it was so transformative. Like I have not been in the water in months, and I mean, our pools are closed, and I mean, I can get in the water out here, but it's got snakes in it, and I don't want to get in the water.
Oh, man, yeah, just snakes, or do you have also alligators or other stuff as well?
I mean, theoretically there could be alligators here, but they're generally, I've never seen one out there. Okay. But it's very brown water. I will get in it with an inner tube so that my body is not completely in the water. I will, like maybe only my legs are in the water and I'm on the inner tube. I'll do that, but
super. Okay. So I think we can start slowly. So let me introduce you, and then we will start. Welcome everyone to Freedive Friday. Today we have a super special guest, a dear friend of mine, my little daughter. So Kerry Hallowell from the United States of America. She's an amazing freediver and a medical doctor. For the ones who are joining these episodes, these interviews for the first time, my name is Memo, and I work in SSI as a Freediving International Training Director. And our goal today is to make this interview as entertaining as possible for you and also as interactive as possible. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions that you have. We will try to cover almost all. And if we cannot, we will just reply later on. So how are you, Kerry?
Hi, I'm great.
Super nice. So I just have my first few questions to introduce you officially to our viewers. Where are you from, and where do you live now?
So I'm from the United States, and I live in the state of North Carolina. I was born here, and I continue to live here. It's about middle of the country on the eastern coast. So water's pretty warm, very flat, not very deep, but we have wrecks here and sharks and all the great things.
Yeah, that I will ask specifically, because I know that this shark and wreck freediving is a thing there. So let's save that part for a little bit later. I will come to that. So when did you start freediving? And how did this took your interest?
I was in it was in 2009. I think so in 2009 I got into I was hit by a car. Up until that point I was a runner. I was a pretty hardcore runner, and I was running at like half marathons and things like that. And then when I got hit by the car,
So you were a long distance runner, not a sprinter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
right.
When I got hit by the car, I had a lot of trauma, and so I had to go. The only thing that I could do was go to the pool, and it just so happened that I also met a guy then that scuba dove, and so I was able to do those things in the water. And in one of the towns nearby where we live, a couple named Ren and Ashley Chapman were getting into freediving and teaching it through Performance Freediving International. And so it was something that I could do. So we signed up, and that's how we started. And then I just fell in love with it immediately and didn't want to let it go. And it pretty much changed the direction of my life. And I haven't stopped. Well, it's mutated and evolved. So what it looks like, but.
Yeah, it was a love at first sight, you say.
It was. We were really good in the class. Like especially the boyfriend at the time. He did like I think the national record in static apnea for the U.S. at that time, or the equivalency of it. And so they were like, "Wow, why don't you guys come and do this competition?" And
he did the national record in the beginner class.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, I don't let people do national records.
Well, we weren't. I mean, we were doing exactly what they said do, and he was fine, and he was doing he was fine, and so we're all like, what? I mean, they were on the Google like, what's the national record? We didn't know that it was that, but they were all Googling like, what's the men's static record for US, and we were like, oh my God, he did it. And so to do it officially, he had to go to a competition, and he did, and I fell in love with the depth, and so that's where I kind of took off.
Perfect. So nice. Okay. Now I really want to know what was the thought of the people around you about freediving, like the family, close friends? People said like, are you crazy? Or they were like, wow, that's interesting.
No, most people thought I was crazy. I mean, they don't understand, people that don't understand something, they put it in a box of crazy or weird, or but I think to be honest with you, when people or my family members say that I'm why would you do that, it's crazy, you can like when you start to tease it out a little bit, you can sense an element of curiosity, and maybe even they wish they could do something like that, but what it really is they wish they could do something like that, but they're too afraid to do it. And so there's you could sense like that, like they're kind of like in awe and they're a little curious, but then their reaction is, oh, you're crazy. Like that's just
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So it's funny to see the reaction of your passion from other people. I find it fascinating. Some people really appreciate what you're doing, like they genuinely support you even with their mind. But some people, like you said, like, oh, you're crazy. That's not okay in their mind. Yeah. Well, anyway, so I would like to get a little bit deeper in your free diving. Tell us your favorite discipline, your personal bests. Let
Okay.
our crowd know better about you.
Okay. I've tried for some national records. I've never actually gotten one, but my favorite is in the ocean, in the depth disciplines, and of those, constant weight with a fin is my favorite, or the one that I feel I have power in my legs, and it's the one that gives me the most satisfaction. And I mean, I like free immersion as well. Those are the two. I'm not a big fan of no fins. But and I think it has to do, like there's an element for me when I dive deep, and the deepest I've ever gone is 75 meters for both for constant weight, and I think it was like 70 meters for free immersion. Is that I've got a little bit of fear, that I have to contend with, and so for me, my strength is in my legs, and my arms are pretty strong as well. But like that butterfly kick, I don't have any control. I don't have a lot of strength in, so I lose a little bit of control in it, and then that just increases the fear factor.
And all of a sudden, you start calling the people who are doing no fins, you are crazy, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually look at them with like awe. Like I wish that I could. I recognize that my issue is fear, and so I look at the people that don't. Maybe they control their fear better, or maybe they don't have as much of it. I don't know, but they seem to, I kind of envy that. Like I wish, like I try. That's something that I struggle with, and I have to work on. And it maybe it's because of my medical experiences, and like I'm always thinking of what could go wrong, and mitigating risk as best I can. And
sometimes it's not a gift to know too much, so
yeah,
that's a doom. So you know how it feels.
Yeah.
When you compare free diving to running from your past,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's sort of like it's like long distance running, or like short fast sprints? Because why I'm asking is at the very beginning I was always thinking like free diving is like a sprint, but lately my thought changed. So I consider it as like more of an endurance kind of.
Yeah.
It gives me, actually, yeah.
So I have a little bit of experience with both because I was a track athlete in college here in America, and I ran my specialty was the mile and the half mile. And the half mile, essentially, the 800 meters is essentially a sprint. I mean, I literally couldn't go any faster than my legs were carrying me, and that was literally a sprint. Where the mile had a little bit of sprint and a little bit of endurance to it, and then of course the longer disciplines when I was done with college. And so I kind of liken it to the a little more of a distance, maybe if anything on the mile, because the mile requires thought. You have to be kind of stressed. You have to strategize. You have to have endurance, and you also have to have a little bit of speed. But one of the elements that it's more like in the endurance events is entering into the flow state. So you really kind of, when you're running, like when I'm running and I get into a tempo pace and I'm just, my body's doing what it knows to do, I kind of lose time. I can go into a flow state more aptly in a long distance run, because there's time to get into it, and you time to kind of lose yourself into it. Whereas in freediving, of course, I think you enter it much sooner and much quicker, but it's still that mentally that same kind of flow.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Have you, I mean, do you get too much passionate about depth or numbers, let's say?
I have.
From time to time, not like all the time.
No, I mean, no, I have before, like when I was a newbie and I entered into it, you're kind of, when you get into the competition scene, you see all these people diving very deep and you want to be like them. And the numbers kind of drive you. I think it's human nature in a way. And so once you start, but what I found is once I entered into that, like tried to make it a competitive thing for myself, for myself or against others, whichever, the purpose behind why we freedive and the growth that you can achieve with freediving and the self-advancement that you can achieve, or the enlightenment, you kind of lose it, because now you're just, it's a sport and you're trying to beat something, you're trying to like push like that, and so when that's one of the reasons why I just stopped pursuing depth. I mean, I like depth and I like the achievement that comes from it, but I don't like focusing on depth and focusing on what other people are doing and focusing on the numbers, because one of the lessons, I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about my life, maybe it's because I'm in a midlife crisis, I don't know, but it's like, what's the point? What's the point of achieving that? I mean, I can have personal achievement, but I can have personal achievement in many ways. It doesn't have to be a number, and I don't have to put my entire identity on a number. And so once I learned that lesson, or once I kind of embraced that idea, freediving has been more fun.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. It is literally the journey of freediving, which is fun. It's the end destination. Destination, just like you said, most of the time is even scary, because it's too deep, too far away, too much of a breath hold. So that is like contradicting with our nature a little bit. So it's
I mean, and really, if you're gonna be that athlete, that's a whole, it's like you're almost having to pick your path. Like you have to, like if you're gonna be this, like world record, it's almost like you gotta be that person. Like you've got to basically train, and that's it's your profession, like almost.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's just, and if you can maintain the pursuit of like the journey, then I think you can be successful. But if you just focus solely on the numbers, I think you lose a large amount of what freediving can teach you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, now the next thing that I'm going to ask is, it's also parallel to this question, but the Kerry I know is a wanderer. Like you travel quite a lot to discover new places, but sort of these are, like freediving holidays in connection with these discoveries, like expeditions, let's say. And at the same time, you have a very sophisticated career. You're a medical doctor, and you are saving people, literally. That's like a lot of load on your shoulders. And how do you position freediving in your life? Like, what is it for you now? Like, okay, we know that's not the number anymore, but is it your safe haven, like sacred place?
So I mean, I've become more of an explorer. I want to explore. I want to be surrounded by nature, surrounded by things underwater, and see them and experience them, and also dive deep when it's safe. So one of the things that sort of panned out over time is that I've realized that I am a doctor, and that is sort of that is my calling. And there was a time where I was trying to sort of be someone that I kind of wasn't. Like I was like, I want to be this person who's an adventurer and explores and goes freediving and is this, record holder person. But really, I couldn't balance that and my career as a physician. And so I had to sort of figure out how I could have both. And what that now means is I take long trips. So I maybe free dive once or twice a year, where I travel somewhere. And generally my travel is sort of centered around free diving, whether I do a competition, but really now the competitions are really for just the social and the social aspect, as well as just the ability to try to dive deep in a safe environment. But really, I have to, my career is as a physician, and then I take breaks to do the free diving. I can't do both all the time.
I mean, from time to time, I think we all feel the same. So now, from a physician's point of view, what do you think about the recent developments, like the athletic achievements we see in the free diving, in the competitions? Like the depths are increasing, especially on in the women category. It's amazing. Like the last 5 years, we've seen incredible achievements. Like men free diving, it's boring, but girls, they rock. I love to follow. So what do you think? Like, is it like people started to discover proper way of training, or we just broke some mental barriers to get better?
I mean, I follow Alessia and Alinka, and they to me are pioneers. And I think that there was a critical mass. Like I think once women started breaking that 100-meter barrier, and it just took a few brave souls to be the pioneers to do it. And then once that happened, it's like the women of the freediving community see, oh, it's possible. And I mean, maybe they didn't know that they knew it was possible before, but now people are actually doing it. And that's very profound in terms of the snowball effect of seeing these women go so deep. These women have, the women that are doing that have been diving for years. And so they've been in the sport for a long time. And I'm like, go for it. Like they're going beyond what we even know about our bodies and know about what we're capable of doing. And so I see them as pioneers.
Yeah, definitely. The top athletes who dedicated their life to achieve and brave enough to go for the unknown depths, they are truly inspiring. But also what I am observing, from a distance from the freediving community, this gives a lot of motivation, which is nice, but there's not enough repetition. When people are trying to be better, this just, kick-started the trends. People are trying to cut the corners a little bit too short. I feel this way. Do you think so?
Yeah, and I think freediving is one of those sports where you really got to kind of take your ego out of the equation to be safe and healthy with it. And I think people have a hard time doing that. And that's human nature. And we can't tell people they can't, like you teach someone the safety precautions, and you teach someone the physiology and the physics and the how you free dive, but you can't make them do it safely. You know, like if they're gonna break rules, they're gonna they're gonna do it, and they probably do it. I mean, the same is true for like driving. You know, you teach someone the safety aspects of driving, but you can't force someone to drive safely. Oh, well, I guess you can with police.
You give a ticket, but there's no ticket in freediving. So.
But there's no tickets in freediving, and so there's this personal responsibility one has to take, and that's someone's personal choice. And you know, I worry about all the injuries that will come of, you know, if you go too fast. We know that if you progress too fast too soon, that you will potentially injure very like or a high risk of injury.
Definitely.
But so our, you know, our jobs are just to continue to be diligent with encouraging people to be safe over and over and over and over and over again. And then hope that they do. So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, now I will get into a little bit of a boring topic, you know, like the COVID, the disease that we are living with. I'm living in, like these days are, you know, like we all wake up with these news, go to bed with the news, and a lot of people are curious about the effects of COVID-19 for the divers or for free divers. Do you think if someone got infected with COVID-19, can there be potential changes in the body after recovery to prevent freediving, or to change the freediving behavior or pattern of the participants? Like, can this virus affect a freediver deeply in their career, let's say?
There's the potential that it could. Unfortunately, COVID isn't a general, you know, like COVID has such a wide variety of presentation and severity in terms of how like you could get it and not even know that you have it. And so the odds you know, any symptoms or long-term effects from that are, I would say, much less than, say, someone who gets hospitalized and has to be intubated and proned and put on dialysis and ECMO, and, you know, they're gonna probably have a higher risk, much higher risk, or expected long-term consequences. So it really, we're seeing that the COVID has a wide variety of severity in individuals. And so some people have it, they don't feel anything, it's like a cold. Some people have it where it's like a really severe, like really rough 2 weeks where they have fevers and, you know, and they're hallucinating, and, you know, and then others die. And so we don't know. And I think it depends on how it affects the body, because we're also seeing it affect the brain, the skin, all the organs get affected in ways that we've never seen before. And so we're still learning. But I think it depends on how severe of a case you have.
Yeah. So it's not such an easy answer like yes or no. Yeah, but can we say something like that? Let's say you are infected with COVID and you are having a rough one. It's not like you had it, but you didn't even notice it. So you get sick, properly sick. Not necessarily, I mean, you went to the hospital and diagnosed positive for the virus, and then sometime later you recovered. Like intubation or not intubation, I don't care. Would it be advisable for them to go and see a physician before they start to dive again?
Absolutely, because we don't know what it's doing to our lungs long term. They at least need to have lung function tests done to see if it has affected you know, your your volumes, your ability to take a deep breath, your ability to expel a good breath, and your ability to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. So you need to have some lung function tests done before you to really know, maybe even a chest X-ray or some exam to know, or to be able to feel safe to go back into the water.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a serious issue. We need to take it serious.
I mean, even in people that I diagnose with COVID that don't get admitted and don't have like, say, a mediocre course, their chest X-rays look bad. I mean, it's it's like bilateral pneumonia is what it resembles. That's that so that the odds of there being some issue, especially in the acute phase, or maybe in the first few months of recovery, you got to be careful. And so before you go into the water, you really need to be checked by a physician to make sure that all of your parameters are okay and in check.
Great to know that. Now the questions are slowly coming, and as soon as I see a question, I will try to ask you. Aslan is asking, as a doctor, do you think the depths achieved so far by record holder freedivers may increase considerably in the future, taking account the human physiology? So are we going to see these increase in the depth, like
So,
or going to slow down at some point?
So that I would expect, as with most human physiological endeavors, is that we have an acceleration and then we're going to have a plateau phase. And I don't think that we know where our limits are yet. I mean, it's funny how back in the 50s we thought if we went past residual volume or 40 meters, we would die. And so we certainly got that out of the water. So I don't pretend to have the answer there, because we just don't know. And that's part of the pursuit of this endeavor, is to challenge the limits of our physiology and to see where it takes us.
Yeah. Okay, my question to you just came to my mind. We know that a major part of freediving is mental. Yes, do you have to tone your body, your physical condition for a deep dive? Certainly, yes. But the effect of mind at the end of the day makes that dive black or white. Like it can be a horrible dive or it can be a beautiful dive just because of here. And I always thought, like, we may be training physically to get ready for the dive, but we are not paying enough attention to tone our brain for the dive. Do you feel so?
Absolutely. I mean, even in the early days of freediving, I had this freediving to me was this ultimate test of mind over body. I mean, you can train your body all you want to, but the mind just is going to decide whether or not you have a successful dive or not. And this sport is so mind dependent. Like it really is one of the most perfect tests of your ability to control your body with your mind and to control your environment with your mind. Because no matter what your body is doing, you've got to come up to the surface. And so you really have to get your mind in check to get to the surface, to continue living. So to me, we need to be focusing more on the mind and the body for physical health and strength, but the mind is where it's at with freediving.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always thought. Like, even like if you're slightly athletic, you are way more capable than what you think you can achieve. It's all here. It's all here. Once the mind leads, the body follows. Of course, up to a point. Yeah. I'm not claiming the beginners can do 100-meter dive in day
No.
2. Okay. So now back to fun topics. I know you traveled a lot of places, you know, from South America to Northern America, from Asia to Europe, and you get the chance to free dive in most of these places. So which one is your favorite? Like, tell us a memorable, tell us a memory which has a place in your heart. Like, did you feel scared, like that you cannot forget, or did you feel in love with diving, or what?
So there's one very vivid memory, and it seems to me that Hawaii and the Big Island is where my love kind of I always go back to. So this was a day, it was my birthday. I think it was like my 41st birthday, and I was with Francesca Owens and Sophia Gomez Uribe and Shell Eisenberg, and we had gone out. We were going to go train on a line like freedivers do, and we start going out. We go off the shore and we got to swim out a few hundred yards and set up the line, and we go dive. But as we're going out there, this bay a lot of times has a lot of dolphins in it, and so for whatever reason, this day the dolphins chose, for whatever reason, to interact with us, and they didn't stop. And it was right after, so I had just ended a 10-year relationship with a man, and I was super insecure about what my life is going to look like, and can I do it on my own, and all these kind of existential questions about huge changes that happen in your life. And so I just ended that relationship. I was out there with these girls, and we're not bothering the dolphins. We're going to go dive, but the dolphins bothered us, and they played with us and dove with us and interacted with us and talked to us. Like I just remember the fact that I'm able to free dive down with these dolphins. I mean, they're of course faster, but it just was life changing in a way, like it was, or life affirming in a way that really affected me. And it's a memory that I'll probably have forever. But
yeah, I can imagine. I only got that chance once in my life. Not like the dolphins found me so attractive like they found you. So they were like, hi, you're boring. And then they left, but it was a nice memory. Yeah, definitely. I would, dolphins, hear me. I would like to swim with you again. So yeah. What about, I'm also curious, I think it was last year or a year ago, you were in Mexico as well.
Yes,
right?
That's another one that is dear to my heart, because the visuals of seeing the light shoot through the water is just magical. And not only that, you're in history. I mean, the cenotes carry a lot of history dating back to the beginning of humankind, and it's just really, really neat to be surrounded by that. And for me, I'm very afraid of the dark. It dates back to childhood. I had older brothers, and they would lock me in dark rooms with big spiders, and I would cry, and I developed this irrational fear of the dark. And so in order to dive in the dark, it takes an act of Congress for me. So it was I made some PB at personal best attempts there. And so the fact that I was able to get to my personal best, and B, even attempt to go past it in the dark was huge for me.
Yeah.
I was very proud of myself.
Nice. Yeah. We are all proud of you, baby girl. It's really, yeah, I mean, I can imagine, like, usually when you are aiming for a best, it's pretty risky to play with two variables.
Yeah.
It's like, like if you are going for the best, it's already a variable. It's something that you haven't done, and the rest of the mind is, fighting to seduce your demons in the mind.
Yeah.
But when you play with two variables, dark and deep, and it's like, yeah.
Now, granted, this is one of those examples where I did not succeed in going past my personal best. I did not. I failed. However, I was a success in my mind because I attempted it in the setting of the darkness, and coming to terms with like just the whole idea of letting go and freediving, and like letting go and leaving all your problems at the surface and all of that. That is true. However, doing that in the setting of intense fears that are based from childhood it's a little tough.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. For many years, before I started to free dive deeper, like these blue waters, anywhere that I cannot see the bottom, like, created this anxiety inside me. But now it's just the opposite. I find peace in this kind of environment. But human mind is a mystery. Seriously, I think we need a couple of series to dig deeper into that. Mine are free diving.
No, I mean, like one of my very first experiences underwater, I had just learned scuba. I had not learned freediving yet. I was spearfishing with my boyfriend, and we were accosted by a bull shark off of North Carolina, and we ended up having to give up the fish to the shark. And I had never seen a shark before. This was probably my first scuba dive after I had completed the class, and I was scared. I mean, it was a very traumatic experience. And so, I got up on the boat and I was crying. I was so scared. And the next day I was like, I've got to go do a scuba dive. I've got to do a scuba dive, or I'm never going to get in the water again. And so we went out to a different wreck. There were still sharks on this wreck, but I told my boyfriend, no spearfishing. Just let me be there with the sharks and under the water. Let's take a step back. And then from that point forward, I just dove into trying to educate myself on shark behavior and learning about sharks, because there was no way that I would ever progress to be a free diver, or even a scuba diver for that matter, if I didn't address that fear immediately. And now I seek sharks out and I like to be in the water with them. I mean, I still don't like to go to the coast and be in the waves where I'm in waist deep water playing in the surf and I can't see. I want to be able to see the sharks, but I like to interact with them now. So it's just work.
Yeah, in North Carolina, so you have these, we were talking about these wrecks. Whenever you go, can you find sharks?
Yeah, I mean, just about all the wrecks have a couple of, there are these huge sand tiger sharks. They're beautiful and they're pretty docile, and they live on these wrecks. And there's a couple of wrecks in North Carolina that attract scuba divers from all over the world, because it's a sand tiger shark breeding ground. It's this wreck called the Spar, and it has hundreds of sharks, and they come there at a specific time of the year to breed. And scuba divers just go and they video. You can YouTube the Spar in North Carolina and see a video of these sharks, and it's just really, really neat. And it's in maybe 30 meters of water. Oh, maybe a little more, 35 meters of water.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it is. Now, like diving with sharks is getting more and more difficult everywhere around the world. Mm-hmm. So having a place like that in North Carolina, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's lots of sharks, sand tiger sharks and reef sharks, and you occasionally get a few bull sharks, and they're pretty much, I mean, most wrecks you go to, there you're going to see some.
Beautiful. Super nice. Okay. What's next in your freediving career? What would you like to do? Travel more, dive deeper,
So
or
I would like
just
to compete
enjoy?
again. I mean, I would like to come. Well, I mean, I'm not completely done with competing because I like to compete, but or I like to at least attempt to dive deep. But I tend to pick places that I can also do other things. So I come out to Greece with you guys in September, just because y'all are my family. I want to be around you guys. But I thought about doing Dominica if it happens this year, just because it looks like a lovely island to explore, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this COVID thing has kind of taken my plans off the, it's tough. I mean, there's Natalia
Let's not say taking your plans off. They're on the shelf.
yeah. So like
they're still there.
I may go. There's something being planned with Kurt Crack and Aaron and Natalia. Maybe I don't know, to Truck Lagoon, and that would be a fun place to explore free diving. I might do that if it happens. I don't know, but I don't know. I just did this trip around the world, and it was in the midst of a pandemic, and that was a pretty exhaustive trip, and it took a lot of planning. And so I've just kind of taken a break from that, and I don't really have anything on the books definitively.
Okay. You
but
sort of
Dominica is potential, and then of course, I don't know, in 2021.
Yeah, you sort of killed my next question with these answers, but now it's very hard to sell a plane ticket to someone who just completed a world trip. But if I give you a free ticket, free everything, yeah, and you pick one spot to go and free dive, where would it be?
Gosh, I don't know. I think I want to go back up to the the ice again.
Oh, ice diving. Interesting.
Yes.
How was it? Like, is it really special for you, diving under the ice?
It is. I mean, you have sensations that you don't have with normal temperature diving.
Exactly. You never feel like your arms are that frozen before, so
right. I mean, and your heart rate goes really. I mean, you have a very strong dive reflex, and and not now you're dealing with, well, I mean, you can go down, but you can't necessarily come up wherever you want to come up. You got to come up where there's not ice, and so there's some challenges, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's otherworldly, and so that just, I mean, and you can stay down quite long, especially if you have the appropriate gear, because you have a strong dive reflex. So it's a very comfortable dive. Yeah.
True. I never thought that. I always thought if I'm diving under the ice, it won't be so long. Like, I would be like,
I mean, you gotta sort out the anxiety component of the ice, the roof, the ceiling. But it's it's really cool.
Every time I ask the last question, where would you go? Question. I think it myself deep inside. So far, I always say Cocos Island.
Where's that?
It has.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you have to Google it. It's in the middle of nowhere. something like 30-hour boat ride from the nearest land.
Nice.
Where the Jurassic Park is taken.
That sounds fun.
It is. I think it is Jurassic Park of this world. Literally, yeah. I heard so many amazing stories from colleagues and friends. It's really, it just had a spot in my brain. It burned a spot. It's like cocos.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have to go. You let me know when you go. Maybe I'll join you.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Maybe we can do something. Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
If you have to give two advices for someone who is planning to start freediving, what would you say?
I would say please take a class so that you become knowledgeable about all the risk and benefit of diving and how to dive properly and safely. So that is imperative. And then the next thing that I would say is just be humble and learn, allow yourself to learn from the ocean.
Yeah, super good. Cannot be said better than this. I feel like I'm saying these words. Good. Super. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much, Kerry, for joining us. I really enjoyed talking with you, and this was spectacular. Personally, that's how I felt. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching us. Mainly watching us laughing. Me being me. Hope to see you next Friday.
Next Friday?
Next Friday, there's another guest. There will be another Friday.
I'm like, am I coming to Turkey?
You can come.
Yeah. I'll bring you. You mean I'll come?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.